around the halfway point this evening of the 2025 USL Jägermeister Cup, and it's do or die for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds and Westchester SC as they meet at Highmark Stadium. Happy to have you with us for this one on ESPN+. Alongside MLS veteran Ricky Lopez-Espin, I'm Joe Malfa. The reason it's do or die tonight for these two teams, take a look at the bottom of the Group 4 standings. Both Westchester and Pittsburgh each lost their first two games. They must win tonight for at least a shot at a wild card going down the line. And Ricky, if Pittsburgh is going to do it, it's going to have to come by Robbie Mertz.
Robbie Mertz is a massive part of what Bob Lilley and Pittsburgh Riverhounds want to do going forward. He has the freedom just to go and search the game, whether it is coming deeper and being part of the build-up phase, but he also shown that he has the ability to arrive on top of that 18-yard box and be a ruthless finisher. Bob Lilley's a player. Bob Lilley expects a lot from Robbie Mertz. Look for him to really put some pressure on Westchester's back line.
A lot of former USL Championship talent on this Westchester side, led by Prince Sadie. 3 goals already this season.
Prince Sadie's just a nightmare to defend because he has the pace to run in behind and really stretch the opposition, but he can also very comfortably beat 1v1 ability on the right-hand side, left footer, so look for him to come centrally. He needs to be a big part of Westchester once to come into Highmark and steal points.
Here at Highmark, there is a rich history of cup competition and Open Cup and other tournaments for the Riverhounds. They're hoping for some cup magic this evening. It's Westchester SC visiting the Pittsburgh Riverhounds next on ESPN+.
Hi, I'm Dustin.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Ray.
And we're Dustin Buys Houses.
My parents buy houses for cash.
With a call to make in the Pittsburgh area.
To sell your as-is property fast.
We buy fixer-uppers, foreclosures, rented or vacant.
Or a nicer home you just need out of. We buy them all.
Plus, you don't pay any fees. Takes just a few minutes on the phone.
To see if our family can help yours.
Call 412-615-0000.
Jägermeister is proud to be the presenting sponsor of the USL Jägermeister Cup. Take a shot at glory and celebrate the magic of this exciting tournament all year long. Please drink responsibly. And we are ready to get things going here at Highmark Stadium. That guy brought all the energy early on. Thankfully, after all the rain came through, seems like we're clear the rest of the way after the skies opened up, delaying some warm-ups here at Highmark Stadium, but everybody ready to go now, and so are we with starting lineups brought to you by Cohen Markets. Kick off your day with Cohen Markets, fueling your day the right way.
Expansive, aggressive, it's 2 words that you can describe Bob Lilley in the way that he wants to approach the game, but you cannot be those 2 words if you do not have Griffin and Sample centrally. Look for them just to slow the game down and gain some position higher up the field, which allows Robbie Mertz and Jacobson to understand the relationship as one comes to feet. The other one runs in behind. For Bob Lilley, how quickly can you get into tempo? That will be a big talking point, especially here at home.
On the other side for Westchester, the USL League One side, putting out a pretty strong side for Dave Carton, trying to keep momentum going into their upcoming midweek game against Greenville.
Pierre and Palma, the 2 center backs, needed to do a really good job at understanding their balance as well. You need to provide coverage off of one another because the Riverhounds are going to really ask some questions within that back line if they build that foundation. Now that it instills some confidence for the players higher up the field. Obregon, you want him to stay as high as he possibly can, which would allow Guzin to come in between the lines, and he's a player that Dave Carton said he can play at a higher level. Big opportunity for the number 10.
Let's figure out how these two teams will be building a win presented by 84 Lumber and our keys to the game here. What do you have for us, Ricky?
For this Westchester side, you need to be very compact defensively and on the ball, get Obregon involved. He's a player that has had success playing for the Riverhounds, so he's going to be motivated. And for Bob Lilly, it's an early start. You want to continue to put pressure on this back line with Westchester that had conceded 24 times already in USL League One. So ask some questions of the back line of the visiting side.
It's not going to be easy for either of these two sides to progress through into the quarterfinals of Jägermeister Cup. Both teams lost their first two matches. They need to win tonight. They need to win their final game and get some help along the way, but nothing else matters if either of these two teams can't produce a win tonight, and I mean a win in regulation. These two sides can go on to a shootout, pick up 2 points that way through the rules of this tournament, but these two teams both need 3 points, winning in regulation here this evening to stay alive. It'll be Pittsburgh in their trademark black and yellow from left to right, Westchester in the white from right to left. Referee in the blue is Marie Durr, set to send us on our way at Highmark Stadium. First ever meeting between these two clubs comes here in the Jägermeister Cup. Round 3 of play in this tournament. These two teams will play their final Jägermeister Cup match at the end of July. Will it be a nothing game or will it be a meaningful game? It's Pittsburgh and Westchester. And we are underway on a now beautiful evening here in Pittsburgh in the Jägermeister Cup. Alongside MLS veteran Ricky Lopez-Espin, I'm Joe Malfa. Glad to have you with us. This tournament's been fun every step of the way, and we are officially tonight heading beyond the halfway point. As you look up and down the roster of this Westchester side, as we showed you there at the starting 11, so much talent that previously played in the USL Championship. As we spotlighted, of course, Prince Sadie, you mentioned J.C. Obregon played here previously in Pittsburgh. In our conversation with Bob Lilly, he joked that he's pretty sure this Westchester side has more USL Championship experience than his current Pittsburgh Riverhounds roster, and you'd probably have to take a deep dive and work some of the numbers, but he's got a point considering how many new faces they've welcomed to the group from the college ranks this year or from elsewhere. So in terms of USL Championship experience, Westchester might actually have that edge tonight.
They're coming into Highmark with Dave Carton, very quick to point out how difficult it is, because historically we've seen the Riverhounds be very, very good at home. 4 wins, 1 loss already in the USL Championship season. For Bob Lilly, it's no surprise that we see him starting to press the right buttons and get the best out of his side as of late.
This time of year, that's where things seemingly always click for his groups. Last year, it took a little bit longer, actually. It was mid-July when they started going in the right direction. Winners of 3 of their last 4 in regular season play. Pittsburgh. Coach Bob Lilly still thinks there's a little bit of a way to go in terms of the attack clicking, but they're already, as they typically are under his guidance, clicking defensively, starting to roll out clean sheet after clean sheet. Once again, only 2 goals allowed in their last 4 matches. But in terms of their attacking woes, he feels it's really every step of the way. It's not just Augie Williams, who's not starting tonight, but it's not just Augie Williams not getting enough scoring. It's not just Berton Jacquesin not doing enough. They're not getting enough service pumped their way for them to provide any sort of impact. So he's hoping further back, deeper in the lines, they start getting that service.
It's a collective effort for the Riverhounds in trying to stick the ball into the back line. It only scored 11 times in 2025 in league play, and especially when you're playing in a cup against a quote-unquote lower opposition, it's a fantastic opportunity to get in a rhythm.
There's Bolaños working his way through. Sadie drops it back. Stephen Payne. Tonight's injury report brought to you by Allegheny Health Network, the official medical provider of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Nothing officially reported by either side tonight. Westchester do have some longer-term injuries, players who for the time being have left the club for treatment, but as far as the available pieces, no injuries reported this evening. These teams would like to keep it that way.
Just noticed when Pittsburgh is in possession, how deep Westchester's going to sit. They're going to flick back into a 4-4-2, so Bolaños and Obregon would be the two strikers. They want to keep those two lines of four very tight and very compact and not allow passing lanes into Jackinson and Robbie Mertz.
There's Danny Griffin. It's brought it out wide. There is Robbie Mertz. Though I think if he had his way, he's playing more underneath. He's playing more as a creator than as a goal scorer, and we'll keep an eye on the summer window here to see if Pittsburgh do add anybody else to help in the attack. Last year around this time is when they brought in Bertrand Jacquesson, so they will be active if something materializes.
Robbie Mertz is just a clever player that loves to play in the pocket, but like you alluded to, Joe, has the ability to play wide, can play deeper, can play higher. There's a do-it-all player, and same as Danny Griffin for Bob Lilly. And historically, we've seen Bob Lilly get the best out of players, give them the flexibility to show different looks within their performances.
Aaron Barnes had that one knocked away by Josh Drack, out for a Pittsburgh throw. Pittsburgh coming into this one on a good spell overall.
And a good tackle here in timing from Drack to leave his feet, needs to get it right, does just that.
Nothing comes of it in the end for the Riverhounds against the Westchester side that's had 10 days off, and that came at a welcome time. There's been some injuries they've been navigating, especially on that back line, but they went into that 10-day break on the momentum of a win. A match you and I had a chance to call back on the 18th of June, a 2-1 win on the road against Forward Madison. Right now, if you take a look at the USL League One standings, everything is really bunched up. Only 5 points separate 5th and 13th. They're in that zone right now on 11 points, so it's really tight. They're starting to get guys back healthy, and they're starting to trend in the right direction, this Westchester side. And when chatting with Dave Carton, the head coach, about what tonight means, because, again, a long shot to go through this tournament. They have a game against Greenville coming up on Wednesday in League One. He said, we're looking at this game and wanted to win this game because we want to build that momentum back. With the 10-day break, as nice as it was from an injury and health perspective, it didn't come at a good time in terms of just wanting to play, wanting to keep the momentum going after that Madison win. They want to restore that momentum tonight going into that Greenville game on Wednesday.
Especially with the way that they won at Madison. Yes, it wasn't their best performance in terms of the quality on the field, but mentally, the grit, the character that was shown to grind out that result. A little action here for Westchester. Good touch.
Sadie trying from a distance, but well off target.
And once you do pick up a 3 points in a hostile environment like we saw at Madison, you want to continue that momentum. So 10 days was really difficult for Dave Carton to try to manipulate that. And how can you keep the players fresh? How can you give them the time off? How can you get them ready against another opponent in Pittsburgh that is really, really talented and very good when they play at home?
USL Championship and League One are on CBS Sports and ESPN platforms all season long. Catch live matches and expert analysis every day on the CBS Sports Golasso Network and ESPN+. Go to USLChampionship.com or USLLeague1.com for the complete USL TV listings. Bolaños, Drack, dynamic left side between those two. Bolaños and Drack. Jonathan Bolaños, one of those players that was out 10 days ago. Come back to him in a moment. Mertz sliding it through. Jacquesson looking over his shoulder, cutting in, running into some trouble, and commits the foul.
Need more quality here from Robbie Mertz. This ball just sends Jacquesson too far wide. Really cuts down the angle for the attacking player to be aggressive. But I love the positioning here from Pierre not to dive in, move his feet, and just play in between the ball and Jacquesson. He takes a contact. Good foul from Marie Durr. Good defending action from Bobby Pierre.
Jonathan Bolaños in the heart of that for Westchester. He was out with an illness 10 days ago in the win against Madison. They're happy to have him back, a former USL League One first-team all-league player. And also in that span, they got Noah Powder back. He's on the bench tonight for Westchester. Could see him later on. Noah Powder was away at the Gold Cup. Was a starter for Trinidad and Tobago in their loss against the United States. 31 caps to his name now, Noah Powder. Could see him later on.
It's the second time that we've seen a bit of sloppy play from Westchester in central location, and that plays into the hands of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, because when they do start to build up, just notice all 11 players on the visiting side behind the ball, really difficult to break through.
To Griffin. Pittsburgh have a difficult matchup coming up next weekend against New Mexico United, first place team in the Western Conference in the USL Championship. As they've been in the midst of a good spell, would like to keep that momentum going here tonight, going into that game next week. We were interested to see what the lineup looked like for Bob Lilly coming into tonight. He said it would be a decent mixture of guys who need to get some minutes and regulars, because he doesn't want to break up the rhythm they're in right now. And from when we had that conversation to now, something might have changed, because this is very much more regulars than it is other guys who need minutes. This one played through. One of the guys getting some minutes tonight, Jacob Randolph, the goalkeeper, off his line to clear it away.
Fantastic recognition here from Randolph. Good little pick out from Bauman, just to play it into the path of Bolaños, who's very speedy, very direct within his movement. Always having a vertical threat, Westchester does, whether it is Bolaños and Prince Sadie.
So the only two guys starting tonight, aside from Randolph in goal, Max Broughton, Jorge Garcia, the only two non-regular starters for the Riverhounds. So again, from when we had that conversation with Bob Lilly to now, something might have changed, because he seemed to be on the fence of wanting to give some guys some minutes, but also continued to reference wanting to keep the rhythm, keep the rhythm. This team has been playing well. He ended up siding with that, because this is pretty much the full starting 11. And at some point, if you see the likes of Augie Williams, or Jackson Walty entered, or Luke Biasi, then it will be a full group for these Riverhounds. They are very much in the mentality of not wanting to take a step back from the stretch they've enjoyed recently. To dispossessed, it'll be a throw down near the corner flag. Pierre and cleared. Bolaños gets to it again, trying to turn the corner, and does, beyond Edrach. Good tackle put in though, Albino Edrach.
Another example of just how explosive Bolaños can be when he does have real estate to operate in. Great long touch, because he knows he has Edrach beat for pace. Good recovery run in the end from the center back, just to close down the angle. Bolaños, 12 minutes in, has been really active for Westchester.
Edrach has had a really nice moment in a cup competition on this field already this year. First corner for Westchester, punched away by Randolph. For Edrach, it was a goal at the death in Open Cup against NYCFC, before Pittsburgh would go on to fall against Philadelphia in the last round of Open Cup. Free kick on the way for Westchester.
The wide parts of the field for Westchester have been a point of emphasis. No need for Robbie Mertz just to try to win this ball. You have two teammates just doubling down on Bolaños. He has nowhere to go. Good opportunity for Westchester just to put this thing into the mixer and cause some chaos here.
The free kick ends up as a corner. Taken short this time by Westchester. Goes in, back for Bolaños, toward the back post, the header off target. Not a bad effort. Service in there from Bolaños.
You go short in hopes to try to change the angle, but also just trying to catch someone sleeping at the back post. Good little pick out here for Bolaños, and fantastic recognition from Palma just to go out and attack this thing, unable to put it on target. But Westchester starting to become a little bit more comfortable in these early stages.
USL on the CBS Sports Network continues the first week in July with 3 hot matchups. Birmingham Legion taking on Charleston Battery. That's 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, July 2nd. Last season's champs, Colorado Springs Switchbacks, welcome Louisville City on Friday, July 4th at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then the Charleston Battery battle it out with North Carolina on Sunday, July 6th. That's at 5 p.m. Eastern. All of that on CBSSN. Which one of those 3 sticks out to you?
Switchbacks, Lou City. Lou City going.
I'm down on that game because of the way the Switchbacks have been playing lately.
But at home, they're going to be up for it.
Will they? It's been that kind of stretch for Colorado Springs right now.
No matter the stretch that you are in, if you come, or you welcome,
I suppose,
the team that has set all sorts of records.
I'm most excited for the Wednesday night game. Birmingham Legion now under Mark Briggs starting to show some life and right in the tangle of the playoff line in the East against a Charleston Battery team that needs to keep pace with one of the teams you mentioned, because right now everything is coming up Louisville. But Charleston's keeping pace with them. It hasn't been as clean as it has been for Lou City. It's a 2-horse race for the top spot in the Eastern Conference, and in all likelihood, a 2-horse race between those two for the Players' Shield. But that's an interesting one to me because Birmingham could play spoiler. They have a lot of talent on that roster. Comes at an interesting time for Charleston.
A very underrated signing.
Mertz back through for Etu. End line put in front. Well worked by Pittsburgh. That is how Bob Lilly would draw it up 10 times out of 10. And it's Bertan Jacquesin finishing it off.
The ability to play in between lines, but also provide width and be very aggressive and vertical. Bob Lilly has to be very pleased with just the patterns in play and the movement. Notice left side of your screen how Etsu continues his run. And then Jackson doing a good job at the last second, just slashing across Pierre and just beating him to the spot. Especially with the pace that Etsu hits this across with, you do not need to hit it hard. Just simply redirect it. No chance for Jockman to get his feet set. Good goal from the Riverhounds.
First shot of the day for Pittsburgh. Yields the first goal. That decision from Bob Lilly to keep the group together and not really mix up the starting group, to keep the rhythm going, paying an early dividend here in a match that both of these teams need to win in regulation. A shootout win wouldn't be enough. Both teams need to win in regulation. Leg up to the Riverhounds early on.
Another example of the ability for Robbie Mertz to bring in his teammates, but it's the aggressive nature of Etsu to continue his run once he does play that ball centrally. He beats Payne, he gets caught out, and now Pierre needs to rotate over really slow in the back for Westchester, and especially when you're playing against a team as talented as Riverhounds, you're going to get punished.
And they double down in rapid succession here. Marie Durr trying to let it play out, sees the advantage, lets it go. Mertz, she had the whistle in hand, was running to the spot, was ready to give them that free kick. Hindsight 2020, they might have just taken the free kick in that spot. Continue out of the possession now through Broughton. Etu slipped through again by Mertz. That's how the goal came about moments ago. This time intercepted. Good step from Juan Palma. Right back by Mertz. Starting to have that look to them, the Riverhounds, as they did around August last year. Win at the beginning of the month on the road against Sacramento, 1-0. From that point on, they took off. This sort of seems how they looked around that time. And you alluded to it earlier. Around this time of year, Bob Lilly's teams just click like this. And again, maybe that's a big reason why he didn't want to mix up the lineup tonight, even though conventional wisdom says it's a long shot for them to get through this tournament to the next round. He wants to keep things going.
20 minutes in, the Riverhounds have done a really good job at just circulating the ball, making it move very quickly. And doing that, the movement off of the ball as well has been exquisite. Westchester having a really difficult time just dealing with their rotations, who's going to press, who's going to drop, and just provide coverage off one another. For Dave Carton, you need your double pivot of Bauman and Johnson just to slow the game down. Again, really sloppy in central locations.
Griffin. Garcia slipped through. Griffin. And that is out for a Riverhounds corner.
Riverhounds fans, it's time for a two-way corner kick.
First opportunity from a corner this evening for Pittsburgh. Already with a 1-goal lead. Bertrand Jacquesin in the 15th minute. Hasn't scored yet in regular season play this year. Bertrand Jacquesin had 5 goals down the stretch last year after he joined in September, early September. Injury has kept him in and out of the lineup most of this year. He's been more consistently in the group since early May. Gets the goal tonight. Now from the corner. Grabbed by Jacquemin. Stay proud and sporty with Riverhounds gear. Whether you're hitting the game or going out, show your team spirit with our exclusive merchandise. Find all your favorites at the merch booth or shop online at riverhounds.com. This pressure of Pittsburgh giving fits to Westchester. They win it again. Carving through. Jacquesin had a block, settled by Mertz. 2-2, floated. Flicked away by Palma. Westchester just need to settle things down. Avoid any sort of giveaway in the middle third of the field. It's been their undoing through 20 minutes.
Starts with the composure or lack thereof, as well as the decision making, but there also needs to be more movement and more options between Bauman and Johnson. When Josh Strack picks up this ball, there's just no one that he can play into, so you need one of that single pivot just to provide a little bit of an angle that you can just bounce the ball into him, and then you can get it back.
A lot of contact there, edge of the area. Free kick, not a penalty. He fell into the area, Barnes, but foul came outside. A bit of refereeing from Marie Duran. The free kick on the way.
Just no need for Prince Eddie to go into this challenge. Fantastic touch. Metu to come centrally and continue that momentum. But once you drop your shoulder and go through the back of an opponent, that is when you're going to get called for the foul. It's a good call from Marie Dirt. Even better opportunity here for the Riverhounds.
And Jacquemin still a part of USL Championship. He's on loan here from Loudon. It's been a matter of getting minutes in goal for him. From the free kick into the wall. A wasted opportunity for the Riverhounds. Difficult from that tight end to get it up and over.
So especially from that angle, you see teams look to just to roll it, someone touch it, just to open up a different window, or even just clip it to the back post and look for the secondary ball.
Corner on the way for Pittsburgh.
Fans, we got another Kelly corner kick.
They made an announcement in this stadium before the game for any boys and girls who wanted to volunteer to be ball kids. So if that was something that girl signed up for, this is a heck of a moment for her right here. She got so excited when Robbie Mertz came over to take this corner as she looks on. And Mertz swings it in. Ball still loose in the area and over the bar. Rewind about 24 years for you. If you're in the stands and that announcement is made, are you sprinting to become a ball kid?
1,000%.
100%. Yeah, no doubt.
I used to go to the FIU men's soccer game in Miami, and I would love to be the ball kid. Every single opportunity that I got, I was there on the corner.
Burns from the opposite side this time. Marie Durr will come in and have a conversation first. Mertz, back post, decent service. Was walled off defensively by Westchester. In their first year in USL League One, Westchester, one of a few teams in that league's expansion this year. It's been good to see that league continue to grow. It's slated for more growth next year. The USL umbrella continues to expand. It's one of the things that makes this tournament so special. Second overall year of Jägermeister Cup. Last year it was exclusive to League One, sort of a trial run. This year brought into both Championship and League One, with potential promotion relegation on the horizon. Continued expansion of both leagues. It's good to see them intermingling more than just the times here or there that they would meet in Open Cup play. And I think one of the biggest things we've learned so far, Ricky, which we sort of had a sense of already anecdotally, but now empirically have the data as well, there's not a giant gap between the two leagues.
Just the talent speaks to the growth of not only USL Championship, but USL as a whole. League One is getting better, so that pushes up the quality. Watch out. Bit of almost confusion between Payne and Jacobin here. Nearly a big mistake in the back for Westchester. Dave Carton was really quick to point out on our phone call, our conversation with him as well, saying, look, the quality is there's just not that much difference. Now, it tells you about the players that are continuing to come in to USL, that it's a league of great action.
Ends up behind, fed through, in front, save made by Jacobin. Good service from Bradley Sample. One that Pittsburgh probably should have had finished off, but a big save from Jacobin to keep the deficit at just one.
We've seen some fantastic patterns of play here from the Riverhounds, just the off-the-ball movement and the ability to bring in each other in the attacking third, a sense of freedom and fluidity instilled for Bob Lilly. I just want you to watch the run of Sample, center of your screen right now. It just takes off and recognizes the space in behind as Jackson's playing centrally. He pulls in, Pierre, and that allows that pocket of space, but in the end, a fantastic save for Jacobin just to come across and deny the Riverhounds' second goal.
If this could be the night that Pittsburgh gets Jacobin going, or Jacobson rather, get him going, that's going to be massive in terms of their development going forward. Because again, the biggest part of our conversation with Bob Lilly is that it's just not there yet in the attack. The service isn't there, the interplay isn't there. They're not finding the big, bright individual moments because a lot of that build-up play is lacking and the opportunities just don't exist for the likes of Jacobson or Augie Williams to have that bright, shiny moment. If this is a sign of things to come for the Riverhounds, and again, it's been 26 minutes, as deep as Westchester is, it is still a USL League One team, but if this could become consistent, watch out for the rest of the Eastern Conference.
Just through 2025, in the 13 games that the Riverhounds have played in USL Championships, they've only scored 11 times. Danny Griffin is leading the team with 3. That is just not good enough for a team that has the quality of an Augie Williams, who only has 2. Jackson hasn't even scored in USL Championship play. So if you can start to see the ball hit the back of net in an opportunity like this, it's going to do a world of good, not only for the confidence, but the rhythm for the Riverhounds going forward.
Free kick on the way. Pressure is really mounting on Westchester, who had the first 2 shots of this game. Through 15 minutes, it was 2 shots for Westchester, nothing for Pittsburgh. Over the last 10 minutes, 5 shots, 2 on target, 1 goal for the Riverhounds. This game has completely flipped over the last 10 minutes. Mertz swings it in, flicked away by Drax, still loose, blocked by Payne, and again by Sadie. Riverhounds fans, join us for the next home game, Friday, July 4th. That's against New Mexico United for Family Fest and the City Fireworks postgame. Get your tickets today at riverhounds.com.
In a responsible way that's considerate of those around you. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Floated toward Bolaños. Drac. Bolaños. This is what Westchester needs right now, just some stability on the ball. Give them an opportunity to get a footing, catch their breath. The Riverhounds have been swarming and throttling down. Obregon almost found it. From a seated position, Edrach did just enough to get it away.
Some for concern for me, Josh, here. You just need to go out and attack this ball. You cannot allow it to bounce, especially in your defensive 18-yard box. Overgone is a center forward that's just so opportunistic that will sniff out any half opportunity. So when the ball gets pumped into a dangerous area, you need to be the first to engage with it, especially as a center back.
Oh, you know, I forgot to ask you earlier, almost a half an hour into this now. Do you think a ball ends up in the river today?
I'm going to go with no.
I'm going to say yes.
You're going to say yes?
I'm going to say yes, even though a half an hour is gone.
Okay, I say no.
Do you know which river that is?
Yeah. Top of your screen.
It's actually the
Putting me on the
Monongahela,
spot right now,
yeah.
Joe. You're supposed to
just
fill up my
quizzing you.
bucket.
I'm just quizzing you. I could fill your bucket plenty with the river water from the Monongahela, which now you know, and remember it for the next time. And congratulations to the Pittsburgh Riveters on their playoff clinching win, 2-1 last night against Steel City SC in the USLW League. The Riveters move on in the USLW playoffs. Those begin next Friday, July 4th at home. Tickets available at riveterssc.com.
I didn't know you're such a big geographic guy over here.
You know, I could probably do the 50 states in under a minute. Yeah, if you give me a blank map, I think I could do that.
That's actually impressive.
I think I could do that.
It's actually very
Not if I got to
impressive.
write it though, because the
Handwriting not good?
No, it just takes too long. I don't think I could do that fast.
State
if
capitals?
I was just naming it, I could probably get at least 80% of them. What about you? 20?
No, come on. I would say maybe 60, 70%.
This will be a fun bet off the air.
All right, halftime.
I'll report the findings. Half an hour into this one now. It's Pittsburgh 1, Westchester nothing. And the goal 15 minutes in. Bertrand Jacqueson assist to Junior Etu. And really all made possible by Robbie Mertz, just igniting that play from the jump.
You just look at that middle three of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds between Sample Griffin and Robbie Mertz. Just the balance is just as spot on in the spacing as Robbie Mertz drops in and just tries to search the game a little bit. Now the responsibility is on Sample to play underneath Jacqueson, and just having that balance and always an option in that central location makes it a nightmare to defend. And that's why we start to see Westchester trying to figure things out. Who's going to step, who's going to drop, and once that confusion starts to set in, that's when you bring in a player like Junior Atsu and Barnes on the wide parts of the field. They're just a sense of freedom and fluidity, the way that the ball is zipping around for the Riverhounds in the final third.
Both these teams must win in regulation to stay even tangentially alive for a wild card spot in this tournament. Remember, the 6 group winners all go through. Then the next 2 best teams will be the wild card teams. It doesn't have to necessarily be the next 2 best second place teams, just the next 2 best period. And the reason that's a stipulation for some of the larger groups, this one's picked up by Mertz, scooped in behind, and will run out of play. For some of the larger groups, it is mathematically possible to have 2 teams on 12 points and 1 team on 9 points, just the way things are spread out. We could see that in one of the groups later on. Sacramento and Monterey Bay right now are on a collision course to both end up on 12 points without playing each other the way the schedule went. So it isn't necessarily about getting into second, just the next 2 best are the wild card teams. Coaches around the league sort of seem to think that 8 points was the magic number to be in contention for a wild card spot. That's not necessarily true. Getting to 6 will possibly keep you alive. That's the true cutoff point. If you don't get to at least 6, you got no shot. And that's why this is a must win for both these teams tonight. Must win in regulation to still have that 6-point tally alive. At the end of the day, both these teams lost in regulation their first 2 matchups.
Just far too predictable right now for Westchester going forward. There's just no real pocket presence, whether it is Bolaños that pushes out wide, but now you need more out of Bauman, Johnson, and Guzan on the ball. It's been just far too comfortable for this back 3 for the Riverhounds because everything has been in front of them. So they just step in, they just move left, they just move right. When you start to really manipulate them as the movement comes centrally, then you go in behind. Has it been enough of that for Dave Carton and the visiting side here?
One of the capitals of these two states? Pittsburgh Riverhounds playing in Pennsylvania, Westchester in New York.
Albany, New York.
That's one. Okay.
Come on.
What about Pennsylvania?
Philly.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Harrisburg.
Harrisburg. All right, so you say you get about 60 to 70%. You're batting 500 so far.
All right. Hall of Fame numbers.
Well, you're not wrong. One for two isn't fantastic, but I'll take it for now. That's at Ricky Lopez Espin on Twitter if you want to have geography hour with Ricky Lopez Espin.
Geography with Ricky.
Geography with Ricky. Geography? Geography.
Okay, just stop.
Space down here for Payne. They've flipped their outside backs, Westchester, in the hopes of sparking something. Drac has gone to the right side. Payne has come to the near side.
Just look left side of your screen. There's just no movement whatsoever. Now Obregon comes to feet because he has not really been impactful whatsoever. But if he does that and he does pull out one of the three defenders for the Riveters, you need a secondary movement. That's when you need, from the wide parts in particular, Payne and Drac, to be really aggressive. When you talk about it being predictable, there's just no one threatening in behind right now of the Riverhounds back line.
Looking to switch it out to Bolaños. Did just keep it in play. It's helped out by Barnes knocking it out of play. Or rather, at two, excuse me. Bolaños behind him. Payne commits the foul. If you're Dave Carton in this situation, you're on the road, you're down a goal. You know you have to win in regulation in order to have any sort of chance in this group. And you also know you've got a midweek coming up against Greenville, a very important matchup next week in USL League One. It's going through your mind as you get toward halftime here and you go through all those calculations of how you want to handle the second half.
Well, first, the top priority is just to keep this thing at a 1-0 deficit going into halftime, and the secondary priority is just to get on the ball a little bit more, and it all comes down to that middle three. Right now, this is a perfect picture. Look how close Guzin and Johnson are. You need a little bit more space, especially when you're building out of the back. Because if you have those three players just operating in that same sort of space, just one Riverhounds player can take you out. They can defend. So you need to start to split the difference. Right now, if you can find Guzin in between lines, that's when you can find success. Great little pick out or trying here from Palma. The idea is there. The execution was lacking, but we haven't seen enough of that for Westchester, especially bypassing that first line of Pittsburgh.
We've hardly said the name of the man you just saw on your screen there, and J.C. Obregon leads the way with 6 goals for Westchester. When the game ended against Madison 10 days ago, this one's floated into the back post and over everything. When the game ended 10 days ago, he was tied for the Golden Boot lead. Things have changed as they've had 10 days off in League One since then. But exiting that game, he was tied for the Golden Boot lead in terrific form, and we've hardly called his name in this one for Westchester.
8 touches through the first 38 minutes, just not good enough for the leading goal scorer of Westchester. It starts with the inability to connect passes and get any sort of rhythm, but also just the direct nature that we've seen from Westchester. Obregon can't do it. It's not his preferred style of play. He probably wants the ball to feet so he can link up with players underneath. But the Riverhounds have done a nice job at just stopping transition moments at the origin, but also very good positionally within their defensive set.
Obregon here in 2023 with Pittsburgh, part of one of the top teams in the league that year. Players' Shield winners. He's had a good run, J.C. Obregon, in the championship. 2 years at RGV, 2 years at Hartford, a year here in Pittsburgh. He moved on to the Charlotte Independents. Last year was USL League One, first team all-league. The form he found himself in led him to a spot with the national team for Honduras. Earned his first 2 caps for Honduras last fall in Nations League amid his great season for Charlotte. Now coming over to Westchester. Dave Carton was on staff at Charlotte last year. Why there's that connection there, and why Obregon is now with Westchester. He's hoping to get back in the national team picture as well, and the form he's been in so far this year puts him in that conversation. But it is a different situation this year. He got that look last year for Honduras in Nations League. This fall for Honduras will be World Cup qualifying. They deem him that level for that competition to be determined. It depends what sort of form he's in. If it's the form he's in right now, I'd say he's got a decent shot of being selected. Kept in play by Sadie. Track. Payne drops it back. Not the best ball, and deflected now by Etu. And that's really been the story of this first half here for Westchester. Nothing coming easy.
Just not clean, sloppy, especially when trying to play out of the back. Whether it is Pierre, Payne having a really difficult time first with their technical ability to receive the ball with their hips open, to look forward, but also really good recognition from the attacking players of the Riverhounds.
Soccer season is here, and SeatGeek is the official ticketing partner of the USL. Get all your USL tickets and more from the #1 ticketing site, SeatGeek, your ticket to great seats. Five to go in this first half. Set piece for Westchester. So anything they can salvage from this first half. The good news is the onslaught from Pittsburgh slowed down. The bad news is nothing has really turned up on the other end for Westchester. It's just turned into a game stuck in neutral in this middle third of the field.
The tempo has been really slow over the last 10 minutes here for both sides. For Bob Lilly, you're very comfortable now. You have all 11 players behind the ball, trying to see it out going into halftime. The emphasis is for Westchester. The ball needs to move quicker, needs more mobility in front of it just to open up passing lanes.
This is where the rules of this tournament and the situation at large for Pittsburgh sort of are at odds. Bolaños keeps this one in play. The first tiebreaker among wildcard teams is goals scored. Pittsburgh only have one goal scored in this tournament so far. The goal they scored from Jacqueline in the 15th minute was their first. They were blanked in their first 2 games. So if they want any shot at a wild card, not only do they need a maximum 6 points starting tonight, but they need to really run up that goal tally. But it's not necessarily the Pittsburgh way, and you alluded to it before. Guys behind the ball now for Pittsburgh. Under Bob Lilly, they'd much rather keep that clean sheet to see this out 1-0 if that's all it needs to be. So again, just a different way of looking at things from a broader spectrum of what's at stake in Jägermeister Cup, but also the situation Pittsburgh are in at the moment, not necessarily jiving with each other.
It's going to be really interesting just to see Bob Lilly coming out at halftime, especially if the score does stay like this, because Westchester's going to need to chase the game a little bit, which can open up transitional moments going back the other way in favor of the Riverhounds. And that's when you can bring in a player like an Augie Williams that can really put some pressure when he has green grass to run into. So for Bob Lilly, there's a lot of things that you need to juggle going into halftime.
Obregon harassed from behind by Broughton, foul called. Now all of that said, the biggest weakness so far this year for Pittsburgh has been scoring goals. So I'm sure they would love to tap into the rules of this tournament and start banging in 2 or 3 if they can. Augie Williams capable of that as he starts his warm-up down in the corner. To look behind by Jacqueline. never find Bob Lilly stagnant. Always toiling down on the sideline. Even when they score a goal, he's always looking to bring somebody over and get that next bit of instruction in. So I don't know how happy he'll even be at the half if the lead does stay. He'll be a lot happier if they could make it 2, though, in these dying couple of moments. Griffin. Mertz. Feeding it through for Etu. Pressured by Payne. Back to Sample. Floating it back post, nobody home. And out for a goal kick.
Just need a little bit more quality there from Sample. But again, the movement ahead of the ball has been really good between him, Robbie Mertz, and Danny Griffin. The ability to evade space and occupy space. Sample makes a direct run that allows Robbie Mertz to come a little bit deeper just to get some touches on the ball. Is the engine for the Riverhounds side, but now you just need to be a little bit more clean once you do get in around that 18-yard box. And that's going to be the next step in the progression that you continue to talk about, Joe, especially what Bob Lilly wants from his side, that ruthless mentality and to be clinical when those opportunities come for the Riverhounds.
I would love to punctuate this evening here with a big victory. It is a milestone for the club. Their 750th competitive match all time, all competitions for the Riverhounds. 1 minute tacked on here at the end of this first half. Sixth season for the Riverhounds. First took the field in 1999. Tonight is game 750. On the flip side, Westchester in year 1. Only a couple of games played between Open Cup, Jägermeister Cup, plus the matches they played in USL League One. Only a couple dozen games to their name. 750 to the Riverhounds' name. Two teams at opposite ends of the historical spectrums here tonight. Separated by 1 goal through these first 45 minutes. It was Bertrand Jacquessin in the 15th for the Riverhounds, and it looks like that will be our only tally here in this first half. A minute come and gone, there's the whistle. Riverhounds heading into the break with the lead. I don't know that either manager will be particularly happy, though. Obviously, Bob Lilly happier with the lead, but not too happy to say the least.
For Bob Lilly, you want to get that second goal earlier rather than later, and the way that you're going to do that is movement ahead of the ball, because that's when you found the most success, when you pulled out Westchester's back line. And for Dave Cart, you just need to get a grip of this game, and it starts with Guzin, Bauman, and Johnson. That is going to be the engine for your side, someone to be a little bit more aggressive, to fill in the gaps, and it's all going to start there if Westchester have any hopes of trying to claw themselves back into this game.
Westchester had the first 2 shots of the game until the 15th minute. They didn't take another one the rest of the half. Pittsburgh could have had more than just the 1, but they settled for just that 1. We're beyond the midway point now of the 2025 Jägermeister Cup, a must-win for both these teams tonight. It's the Riverhounds up 1-0 on Westchester at the break.
The build. What is it that drives us to follow our dreams, to build them from scratch, from the heart? For us, it's the same ideals of hard work, craftsmanship, and unity that define our great nation. It begins with trusting in yourself and having a team behind you that believes any dream is possible, and that every project is a vision of what can be, of who you are, and the future that you continue to build. From our family to yours, 84 Lumber, where quality and pride come together, one dream at a time.
At AHN, good heart care starts before you're just not feeling right. Before you say, it'll go away on its own. Before it doesn't. Because before an emergency, there's time to stop heart problems with a simple preventative heart check. At AHN, we see you.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
For a limited time, get employee pricing on select Broncos, plus $3,000 in factory incentives and 3.9% APR for 72 months. Only at your neighborhood Ford store.
Grand old time here at Highmark Stadium. Hounds are barking up 1-0 on Westchester SC through 45 minutes here in the Jägermeister Cup. Both teams must win in regulation to stay alive here in this group. And with that, we'll take a look at our group here. The result we saw last night and the result brewing elsewhere between Hartford and Detroit through 45 minutes as well. Last night, Rhode Island thumped Portland. At halftime, Hartford is up 2-1 on Detroit City. As far as the standings go in this group, not too important what's going on there. Just a matter of Pittsburgh needs to get to at least 6 to have a chance come wild card selection time here in this tournament. They're holding up their end of the bargain, at least up 1-0 through 45 minutes. A look around USL Championship with some news and notes. Ricky, Louisville was unbeaten through 19 games in regular season play. That was snapped last week against North Carolina.
Give credit to John Bradford and North Carolina to really defend their home fortress. They scored 2 really good goals off set pieces. That team is starting to figure out who they want to be on and off the ball and can make some real noise in the Eastern Conference. And then Orange County signing a former Rangers and Scotland Youth International, Stephen Kelly, from the Scottish Premiership, side Livingston. That's going to be a really interesting signing. And then you talk about Spokane, what they've been able to do at USL League One. We're in the final last year. Can they get back to the really decent side?
They've been good in Jägermeister Cup as well in their group. They've got a chance to go through Group 6, Spokane Velocity. We'll see if they can hold up their end of the bargain as they continue through their Jägermeister Cup slate. And in case you were wondering how things go in the Jägermeister Cup, here's a peek behind the curtain.
Turn on your TV and get ready to be entertained. Few things can captivate a mass audience like live sports. And if a broadcast feels like magic,
a lot of people just think you flick the switch and it's easy and it magically appears, but there's so much that goes into it behind the scenes.
Mike Friedman is the vice president and executive producer at NEP Media Services. For USL national broadcasts on CBS, Friedman's team is close to 40 people.
They're led by the producer and director. That's for any production. And then from there, you have associate directors, you have graphics people, you have replay people, you have the camera operators, you have engineers, you have tech managers, all working for that one common goal of a smooth broadcast.
Now, here's something you may not know. At NEP in South Florida, hundreds of broadcasts in the USL Championship, League One, and Super League are broadcast remotely. All stadium cameras feed directly to NEP. And just like a truck on site, camera shots are switched live. And there are eyeballs on the product. In April, CBS's production of Phoenix Rising FC at San Antonio FC peaked at 776,000 viewers.
The way we do TV for other sports is different than soccer. So it's finding that sweet spot of taking what people are used to seeing and adding that American TV touch into it.
Pain doesn't care who you are or why you hurt, but pain can be mastered if you know the way.
Focus!
Fight back with Tiger Balm's legendary herbal power. Whatever it takes. Trusted for over 100 years. Tiger Bomb's proven herbal blend tames pain with the strength and speed of the tiger so that you can rise above pain.
Let's make a Karate Kid.
And get back to living. This is the way of the tiger.
Wait, come back! Wait, come back, I need more help.
Take a load off Fanny. Take a load for free.
Today we went to the beach, and it was totally worth it. Stay 3 nights this summer at Best Western and get $50 off a future stay.
3 ice-cold Jägermeister shots, please. Those look warm.
Serve it cold or don't serve it at all. Jägermeister. Damn, that's cold.
Brilliant strike from Nicoletto. Push the Switchbacks up 1-0.
Slotted toward goal. A flying start for Charleston Battery at home.
A winner in Pittsburgh! One-0 lead for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds through 45 minutes of this Jägermeister Cup bout. One of the players you could see later on from their bench, Pablo Linzoine. He's had quite the journey from the academy up to the first team. Let's learn more.
In terms of giving him an opportunity at the pro level.
Number 70, Pablo Linzoine.
He had a lot of good foundation in his play.
Signed an academy deal last year in May. Third from the Riverhounds Academy to jump into the first team, 18 years old now.
My name is Pablo Linzoine. I play for the 2006-2007 Riverhounds ECNL team and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds first team. Kevin Kerr always pushed me to do my best in training, always being on top of me about just everything, and he always pushed me at the first team. I started training with the first team my freshman year, and that was a big eye-opener for me because I realized, like, wow, like this is what the professional level is like.
Yeah, it's always a big decision to give somebody their debut, especially an academy player. We felt that he had earned it. It was a reward for the work that he put in.
Living in a dream home with a deck that's becoming a nightmare? Quaker State Construction can solve your problem. We've been building quality decks for over 60 years. Whether you're building a deck or doing an extreme deck makeover, we're the experts. We'll bring samples to your home, give you advice about selecting just the right materials, and we'll stay within your budget.
It's a deck we've always wanted.
Call Quaker State Construction at 800-262-DECK or go to QuakerStateConstruction.com.
Jägermeister is proud to be the presenting sponsor of the USL Jägermeister Cup. Take a shot at glory and celebrate the magic of this exciting tournament all year long. Please drink responsibly. Hopefully the Jägermeister flowing on that party paddle tiki hut.
Tiki hut.
Call that. Yeah, but it's not just, it's a moving tiki hut. It's not just any tiki hut, Ricky. It's a special tiki
boat hut.
All right, we'll go with that. We'll get back to state capitals later on as well, but first the highlights from this first 45. The goal came 15 minutes in for Pittsburgh.
I just love the movement off of the ball from Etu. Notice how when he plays century, he takes off because every single one of the Westchester players gets caught ball watching, and they turn with the ball into Robbie Mertz, so that allows Etu to be really aggressive. And when he puts this ball into a dangerous area, the responsibility is on Jacobson just to beat Bobby Pierre at that near post. At the last second, just slashes across, and it's a clinical finish. Great goal for the Riverhounds to take the lead.
From that point on, the game changed. Through the first 15 minutes, 2 shots for Westchester, nothing for Pittsburgh. The next 15 minutes saw 7 shots for the Riverhounds.
It was all one-way traffic, and I just want you to watch the recognition from Sample as he realizes the space is in behind. He takes off and makes a really good run. Better ball across. Jacobson should be hitting the back of the net from a free strike from about 7 yards out. But give credit to Jacobson to come across and make himself big and to deny the Riverhounds the second goal.
Stats feel a bit misleading from the first 45 minutes, especially possession. It never really felt like Westchester did anything threatening. A lot of that 56%, just sort of that empty calorie possession in the middle third, nothing really going on. It felt that every facet of that first half was controlled by Pittsburgh.
Probably needs to be really pleased with just how they controlled the game, but now you need more chance creation going into that final third. And for Westchester, it's something that you and I hear every single time we're on a game. We want possession with a purpose. That's going to be the big talking point for Westchester. Yes, you can have a lot of the ball, but what do you do with the ball? How dangerous and threatening can you be to break in between lines and to get Guzan and Obregon on the ball a little bit more? Really quiet from your 2 attacking players in that first 45 minutes.
Jacobson got the goal that he really needed, maybe to get things going in the right direction. Hadn't scored yet in the regular season. Got that goal in the first half. See if there's more to boot.
Correction, checking out number 22, Stephen Payne. In his place is number 66, Noah Powder.
Noah Powder comes on at the break for Westchester, replacing Stephen Payne. So Powder back from his Gold Cup duty with Trinidad and Tobago, where he started against the United States. They want to ease him back in, make sure that he's ready to go Wednesday for their game against Greenville. So Noah Powder back out there. Didn't end up playing in the last 2 games of the group stage for Trinidad and Tobago after starting against the United States. So that was the last time he took the field. Smiles from J.C. Obregon as he's set to get us on our way with the kickoff. Didn't call his name a lot in that first half. Need to get him more involved in this second 45, and away we go. Westchester left to right in the white, Pittsburgh right to left in the yellow and black. Happy to have you with us on ESPN Plus with MLS veteran Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa. Westchester not the only New York team visiting a Pittsburgh team on one of these rivers right now. Just around the bend, Pirates hosting the Mets. Pirates currently winning 4-2. Riverhounds up 1-0 here, so it could be a clean sweep for the Pennsylvania teams here against the New York teams this evening.
Does that hurt you to say?
A little bit.
Huge Mets fan, huh?
Who's in out wide. Ahead looking through for Bolaños. They just can't really string much together in the attacking end. Westchester, they have no trouble getting there, but it's then breaking down Pittsburgh that has been their Achilles heel in this one.
It's going to be really intriguing just to see this sub come to fruition for Dave Carton. Noah Powder is going to give you verticality from his left back position. So in theory, that can allow Bolaños to come centrally and just play almost as a dual 10 underneath Obregon with Guzan. So now you have more numbers centrally that you can play into, but also you allow Powder to work up and down and provide some width, but all need to be cleaner for the Westchester. Trying to build out of the back. You cannot afford to give the ball over cheaply to the Riverhounds.
Fortunate that Jacqueson had a misplay there. Palm up. Just loop it long. Obregon battling for it, wins it. That's a way to get him involved. And you can see he receives the ball in an awkward spot. There shouldn't really have been anything that comes out of that, but he draws a foul and a yellow card to Max Broughton. Just get the ball to Obregon any way you can, even if it's not clean.
Just so physically strong, JC Obregon. The ability to fend off not one but two Pittsburgh Riverhounds players, and then have the strength to continue his move. Really clever. There isn't a lot of contact here from Suber, but he makes the most of it and gets Suber into the book of Marie Durr.
Pardon me, Suber not brought in on that yellow card. You noted late in that first half, Ricky, that it was still single-digit touches for Obregon. Any way you can get him the ball, he can make things happen. Physical presence, low center of gravity, clever player. If you go back and watch the way he drew a penalty in their win 10 days ago against Madison that he then had saved but followed up on the rebound and put home for what turned out to be the game-winning goal. Such a difficult player to defend. See it in that moment there. That should have been nothing. Turned into a yellow card for the center back.
And if you do elect to play into Obregon, now you need some support underneath him.
They go again that way, but the offside flag comes up. He went for the finish anyway.
The player that came up in our conversation with Dave Carton, I asked him about him, how he is in and out the building on the training pitch, and he said, look, he's just driven, he's motivated, he wants to continue to push his career higher, to push into that next level where he's had some success. He's going to score every single type of goal in the book, and he's a leader, not only on the field, but off the field, and demands the highest standard from every single player in the Westchester organization.
22 goals in his 82 appearances at the USL Championship level. Spread across RGV, Hartford, and Pittsburgh. Free kick on the way now for the Riverhounds.
Just silly here from no pattern, no need to dip your shoulder and come through the back. It's going to be a foul every single day of the week right in front of the assistant referee. Good opportunity here for Robbie Mertz. Desired location will be right between that 6-yard box and penalty mark, with that traffic right in front of Jacquemin.
Got some big targets to be looking for as well. The likes of Jacqueson, the two center backs, Edrach and Suber. Mertz couldn't get it past that first man, and Drac recovered by Sample. Back out toward Mertz, but Drac again. Shot out of a cannon, intercepts it for a Pittsburgh throw. Two big plays in that sequence from Drac. But after that, he switches again with Powder going left and Drac coming to the right. Continue to rotate their outside backs, Westchester, freely throughout this one. Chance for Bolaños to go. Obregon hits it long. Sadie tracking. Sadie scored that night 10 days ago as well. And the win over Madison did enough to keep that ball in play for Drac.
Here, Josh Drac, you need to look forward there. You need to pop this ball into the path of Bauman. As you continue to play horizontally or negatively, that just gives the Riverhounds the ability to drop deep and get comfortable into their defensive set. You do all the hard work. You bypass the initial line of pressure. You play into Obregon and then Prince Sadie. So you just need a little bit more character and personality just to play in between the lines.
All the way back for Jackman. Starting to feel like the arrow is turning up for this Westchester team. In the grand scheme of things, in the USL League One standings, on paper, one of the more experienced and more talented rosters in the league. Injuries have really set them back. They have had to use already 5 different center back pairings this year, 11 different back 4 sets. Defensively, it's been difficult to navigate. Chance here now for Guzin, blocked. As they start coming together and getting more time together, they feel like a team that could make a big run in the standings in League One. And Dave Carton sort of went down the list of teams that are ahead of them right now, and it feels like any given team in any given stretch of games can go on that run right now in League One. He just hopes it's their team that's on the upswing when it matters most.
We just talked about the talent and the experience on this roster for Westchester, one of, if not the best in all of USL League One. But you also look at the profiles of players. They complement each other extremely well. You have Prince Sadie, who's more of a direct threat. Bolaños as well, very vertical, and they provide the width. And then you have Obregon, a true out number 9, can do a little bit of everything. Guzin Bauman can play in between the pocket, but the next step in that progression, putting all the pieces together, is you just need players on the same page. Too many times it's players occupying the same space, the spacing is a little bit off, the balance is a little bit off, and that is just gonna come with more game time and more players starting to come into their form and becoming healthier.
I was about to say that the key to that right now is to health. It's difficult to get cohesion when you're forced to rotate a lot of key components. You could ask 10 coaches, and maybe some of them would say the most important pairing on your team is your center back pairing. You need the cohesion there. And again, 5 different center back pairings, 11 different back 4s this season. That is not the way you draw it up if you're Dave Carton, and yet they are a win away from the playoff line in regular season play, which they could get as soon as this Wednesday night when they take on Greenville. Played in by Barnes. Bad effort.
Good step from Danny Griffin there.
Congratulations to the Pittsburgh Riveters on their playoff clinching 2-1 win last night against Steel City SC in the USLW League. The Riveters move on to the USLW playoffs. Those begin next Friday, July 4th at home. Tickets available at riveterssc.com. Awkward one for Jackman as he just thighs it away. Etu is there to keep it alive for a moment for Pittsburgh. He felt he was fouled. Now Suber comes through with it. Suber, clever ball in. Runs out of room.
Rightly so, Bauman feels like he's getting grabbed. There is a lot of contact right in front of the Riverhounds bench, and continuing to have a conversation with Marie Dirt. Tend to agree with him. Again, we're seeing the Westchester having a really difficult time dealing with the oncoming press of the Riverhounds. Just want you to watch all the contact right here from Sample. That's a foul. Disbelief from the center midfielder of Westchester.
Jackman looking long. Mertz flicks it along. Garcia over the top, and the flag comes up. You see the idea there again for Pittsburgh, and the combination play starting to shine through again with Jacqueline, the intended target on the end, but just mistimed.
What we've seen from the Riverhounds and how they scored, the only goal here is just the ability to bring in a third player. Jacqueline about half of a yard. Offside off the shoulder. Palma, it's a good pick out from our side referee.
You can watch the USL Championship in Spanish on Tudana, the nation's leading Spanish-language sports network. Oakland Roots facing off against Detroit City FC on July 5th at 10 p.m. Eastern. Go to uslchampionship.com for the complete USL TV listings. All right, it's back to geography time with Ricky. The two teams from that game, Oakland and Detroit, California, Michigan, giving the two state capitals.
Michigan, Lansing.
Okay, there you go. You played there, so I would hope you know it.
And California, come on, Sacramento.
All right, there you go. You're at 75%. Like you said, you think 60 to 70. All right. Approaching the hour mark. Not much has changed in this second half from the way things went at the end of the first half. Both teams were really just stuck in neutral in the middle third. You mentioned at that point, Ricky, that Pittsburgh was sort of content with 11 back behind the ball, and Westchester just couldn't find any way through.
Really
the
good ball there.
second half has picked up really where things left off, but now a chance to unlock here for Westchester. Sadie cutting through. Still Sadie on that left foot. Dishes it across. Guzin waits. Waited too long. Moment left, Westchester. Johnson back to Guzin.
Just see the success that comes after playing a ball that takes out that whole front line and midfield line of the Riverhounds. But once this ball goes to Guzin, he needs to be more decisive, whether it is taking his first touch out of his body to let to shoot, but also just to play into Noah Powder, who makes a good overlapping run. That attacking unit, look where it ends, right all the way to the back with Jacquemin. When you play against a team on a quote-unquote higher level, especially on the road, when you have those opportunities, you need to make them count, and you need to be ruthless.
Guzin trying to make up for it with this ball to Obregon, battling through. He goes down, fishing for a penalty. It doesn't get a nibble this time. 10 days ago, you and I disagreed. He won a penalty against Madison that I thought there was no contact in. You being a striker, you sided with Obregon. I could buy that. But he's a clever player. That's certainly something that he is looking for if the moment's there.
He's a player that creates his own luck, especially in the attacking 18-yard box. Obregon is.
Now the other way. Attempting a header from Jacquemin. Goes by the wayside. Kept alive by Broughton. Here's Sample. Sample looking through.
As we expect to start to see the Riverhounds see a lot of the ball, and the possession numbers continue to push up. Now rest defense will be the top priority for that back three of Bob Lilly, because the last thing you want it to be is leave yourself exposed and vulnerable going back the other way. Because when you are in possession of the ball, you want to make the field as big as you possibly can. But the risk in that is if you give it away very cheaply and very easily, now there's gaps that the opposition can really penetrate you. So look for communication between Izak, Broughton, and Suber to understand the spaces and how to negate the ball into Obregon, which will most likely be the outlet for Westchester.
And we're gone. A half hour remains here at Highmark Stadium. Happy to have you with us this evening on ESPN Plus, alongside MLS veteran and geography expert Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa. It's a 1-0 lead for the Riverhounds on the goal 15 minutes in from Bertrand Jacquemin. You didn't like that?
I loved it. It was funny. Put that in my Twitter bio.
Both teams must win in regulation to stay mathematically alive for a wild card at least in this tournament. Even so, it would still be a long shot. A lot of other things have to go their way. But from the standpoint of mathematics, the math won't be mathing if they don't pick up 3 points today. A shootout win and 2 points still wouldn't be enough. Both these teams would have to get to 6 points to have any chance. And the only pathway to 6 is 2 regulation wins. One tonight and then one on July 26th, the final full match day of Jägermeister Cup and group play. 6 group winners make the quarterfinal, plus the next 2 best teams as the 2 wild cards. Goals scored that first tiebreaker, not goal differential. Supposed to promote attacking-minded football, as we've seen in some cases in this tournament, but sometimes styles make fights, and right now, stylistically, these 2 teams, especially Pittsburgh, they're a team that's wired under Bob Lilly. Once they take that lead, they just sort of sit on it, and they're really good at doing that. You go down the fixture list the last couple of years, you see a lot of 1-0s, and a lot of those 2-0s, they were 1-0s until the goal scored in the last 5-10 minutes when things just opened up a little bit more. So they're doing things the way they typically do so far tonight.
We've seen under Bob Lilly, it's just having his teams really organized and understanding how to play at every single facet of the game when they're chasing the game, once they do in fact have the lead, but also when it's 0-0, that's when they get on the ball and just start to create opportunities. This team is well drilled, they're well organized, and they have a lot of experience at just continuing to grab the identity that Bob Lilly is trying to implement.
See there left side of your screen, that's Augie Williams, who's getting some last-second hydration. Could be a sign that Bob Lilly thinks it's time to maybe open things up and maybe find that insurance goal here. Bringing on his top striker momentarily. Goal came 15 minutes in for Pittsburgh. So far, goal-less for Bertrand Jacquesin in the regular season. Maybe the floodgates open after this one. Good bit of interplay between Etu and Mertz. Finished off by Jacquesin. Probably could have had another one. Maybe should have had another one a little while in that first.
Individual marker to that spot. Good finish in the end, but it's all about the play from Etu and Robbie Mertz on the same page, breaking through that right side of Westchester.
Change made here on the Westchester side. It's Juan Palma coming off. Andrew Jean-Baptiste takes his spot in the middle of that back line. And they will replace Prince Sadie here as well. Mink Peters will take his spot. 3 subs made already by Westchester.
Substitutions for Westchester. Coming out, number 3, Prince Sadie. And number 23, Juan Sebastian Palma. Now in, number 14, Mink Peters. And number 35, Andrew Jean-Baptiste.
Pair of like-for-like changes for this Westchester side. The only thing that will change is Bolaños and Peters will flip wings, but a natural winger for a natural winger, the sub on the Westchester side. So those 2 guys flip now. Peters left, Bolaños right. Bolaños intercepting here. Three changes being readied on the Pittsburgh side, including Jackson Walty and Augie Williams, the 2 regular starters for Pittsburgh who didn't start the night. Charles All will be coming on as well for Pittsburgh. Played in behind, just over. Garcia. Told it'll be Jacquesin, Garcia, and Sample making way momentarily for Williams, All, and Walty. Players still getting their final instructions down on the sideline. Two. Griffin opening things up. Across for Perrin Barnes. Started the last 8 straight games for Pittsburgh. He has slowly garnered the trust of Bob Lilly. Injury kept him out the first couple of weeks of the season. Then the next few games, he just didn't feature, but 8 straight starts since then. Now something could be on for Drac. looking for support, finds it to his right in Obregon. JC Obregon goes for goal, trying to sneak it through. Jacob Randolph alert to it. That is the first shot on target of the night for Westchester.
Fantastic recognition here for Drac just to pick up his head and play it into the path of Obregon, allowing him to be really aggressive. Time and space creates a little bit of a window, tries to go through the legs of the defender. In the end, good save for Randolph not to give any secondary rebound as well. Good hands.
Here come those changes. Walty, Williams, and All coming on for Sample, Jacqueson, and Garcia. So our lone goal scorer this evening, Berton Jacqueson, departing, replaced by Augie Williams. We'll see if anything shifts in terms of the setup here as well for Pittsburgh. That is typically the case whenever Bob Lilly makes a couple of changes like this. And we saw Augie Williams running out onto the field, throwing up the fingers and seemingly signaling a shift in terms of the shape coming up here for the Riverhounds.
Then the players coming in particular, Walty, he's going to give you flexibility, can play on that back line, but can also slot next to Danny Griffin and be two center midfielders. So for Bob Lilly, now you have to find the balance that you continue to allude about, Joe. Yes, you want to go and chase the game. Yes, you want to continue to score goals and try to get that goal differential in your favor. But also, you cannot let this lead slip through your fingers. So you have to be able to be aggressive, but also be very compact defensively.
Williams pressuring Jean-Baptiste here for a Pittsburgh throw. They want to get Augie Williams going. Just 2 goals so far this season. Last year, 10 goals for Indy 11. Joined Indy last year after 2 years in Charleston. It was terrific in his time in Charleston. 13 goals and 16 goals, his 2 season tallies there with the Battery. Still just 2 this year. They haven't gotten him going.
The best place to watch the Pittsburgh City fireworks on the 4th of July is right here at Highmark Stadium. Stay after the match against New Mexico United and watch fireworks from
You've been there as a striker. It just comes down to service, and that really hasn't been there at this point this season for Augie Williams. When the service is there, we know what he's capable of, but he's not necessarily one of those guys who creates for himself. He gets into the right spots, he waits for that service, just hasn't been provided yet.
Now it's all in between the ears for a striker, especially like Augie Williams. You need to continue to make yourself available, because it's so easy to get in your head and say, I continue to make the run, but the ball never comes, so I'm going to take this play off. That's not the mentality that you need to have. You need to continue to make the run every single time, because it only takes one time to see the ball hit the back of the net to open up the floodgates, especially of the quality of a striker like Augie Williams.
He's scored double-digit goals in 4 of the last 5 seasons in USL. The only exception was 2021. He didn't hit double figures, but he had 6 goals in 12 games. So you do the math out to a full season, and he would have been on 5 straight double-digit goal-scoring seasons, Augie Williams. Chasing ahead here. Retreats as Jackman sends it long. Bolaños offside. Select is proud to be the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship. From the Academy to the big leagues, Select is there every step of the way. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest product specials and more. Select, the player's choice. Free kick on the way for Pittsburgh, yellow card to boot. Mink Peters just came on moments ago, already into the book.
Knows he's beat here. A little change of pace from Barnes. Peters sees yellow.
We have a yellow card against Westchester, number 14, Mink Peters.
Stay proud and sporty with Riverhounds gear, whether you're hitting the game or going out. You can show your team spirit with our exclusive merchandise. Find all your favorites at the merch booth or shop online at riverhounds.com. was a sporty move there from Randolph, clearing it to safety.
He elected to go with his feet instead of his hands.
In the box.
In the box, where you can use your hands as a goalkeeper.
Interesting decision. Williams flicks it on. Mertz. Augie wanted that ball right back. Now it's sent his way. It gets to him. Misplayed by Jean-Baptiste. Augie Williams directing traffic, feeding it through, looking for Walty. Delied by Griffin, forcing his way through. Jean-Baptiste clears. Good step defensively by Broughton. Delivered by Broughton. Headed away by Bobby Pierre. Walty through. On the turn, it's the other substitute, Charles Ault. Suber almost got himself into trouble there. Both those players on yellows, Suber and Peters.
Just showing nice patience right now. The Riverhounds not trying to force anything, just playing what the game gives you. And when those gaps start to open up, that's when you penetrate in between the lines of Westchester. Really well done here.
Oh, feeds it through. Etu deflected last off of Etu, but it stayed in play. Track clearing up the line to no one in particular. Step two by Suber. Walty. Jackson Walty forging his way through. All centering.
Just suffocating right now. All 10 outfield players in the attacking half for Bob Lilly.
On July 18th. The rivalry renews live on ESPN.
Space the other way for Obregon. If he can keep it in play, he can. It's back to Peters. Bolaños calling for it near side, floated that way, but well off target.
It's really sloppy from Peters there. You need to continue with the possession. Obregon doing a good job at connecting the pass and relieving some of the pressure that Westchester has been under here.
Minutes to play. Again, a must-win in regulation for both these teams to stay alive mathematically here in Jägermeister Cup. Change being readied for Westchester. Already used 3 subs in this one. It's going to be Daniel Bauman coming off for Westchester. The next stoppage. Makic will replace him. Corner first, though, for Pittsburgh. They go short. Back to Mertz. Clipped in toward the back post. He'll do it again from the opposite side now. Mertz will make the long walk over.
Good ball in from Etu. Enough air underneath it. You can just see what he's trying to signal to his teammates. Someone needs to crash towards that far post. Enough pace, but also enough air that a teammate can just run onto it and head it home. We've seen some really good service from wide parts of the field for the Riverhounds here.
Mertz drops it in, but gathered without any issue by Dane Jackaman. They will say it went out before it came in on the curve from Mertz. So goal kick on the way for Westchester. And here comes that change. Erman Makic will replace Daniel Bauman. Fourth sub used by Westchester, just hoping to push the right button to spark something here in the dying moments of this one. You know, Pittsburgh have yet to win that title here in this league. They've got the Players' Shield, haven't lifted a trophy yet. They will always have the title, I think, of most scenic stadium in USL Championship. Golden hour here in Pittsburgh. I don't know, I don't think anybody's ever taken that title away from them.
I agree with you. We have the river, you have the sunset. What's not to like about Highmark Stadium?
Which river?
The one you said earlier.
Clever. Clever. Monongahela. Told you there'd be a quiz later in the game. I sprung it on you here. The spelling is not quite clear. I was told there would be no spelling, just a verbal medium here.
Always expect the unexpected.
Clipped long again to Augie Williams. Long run to get there. Won't keep it in. Out for a goal kick. If you can't watch the match, you can turn on Sirius XM FC 157. North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access on Tuesday nights, plus live matches from the USL, MLS Premier League, and more. All on a Sirius XM FC 157 and the new Sirius XM app. And the 11 manager Sean McCauley on last week. Interesting conversation there for a coach that currently has his side in front this evening. 15 minutes to go in the 11, up 1-0 on Birmingham Legion. That's significant in Group 3. Those two teams came into the night first and second in Group 3. Indy could be on the brink of winning that group. Not officially, mathematically done and dusted. They would be on the brink of clinching Group 3 if that result holds there. Elsewhere here in Group 4, Hartford still leading 2-1 in their match with Detroit City. That would just about wrap things up in terms of anybody else possibly sneaking in the top two. It would be Rhode Island on 9, Hartford on 9. It's a two-horse race between those two teams to win the group. Pittsburgh, Detroit City, and Portland would all have a very outside chance at a wild card spot if indeed one of the wild card spots could be as few as 6 points, but that possibility could be done at the end of the night already. There could be enough groups around Jägermeister Cup where second place already has greater than 6 points by the end of the evening, and it would dash the hopes of those teams sitting on 3 or 4 points that are hoping to stay alive going into the final match day. As we've alluded to throughout the evening, both these teams could only get through as a wild card team on 6 points, meaning they both had to win tonight and both had to win their final game. So far, Pittsburgh holding up its side of things in the quest for 3 points tonight and 6 points overall, but they're not getting the help they quite need elsewhere. In the live standings here in Group 4, two-horse race between Rhode Island and Hartford. Rhode Island had a coach on the roof yesterday. That is something that happened in the Jägermeister Cup. Kyle Smith was sent off with his second yellow. There's no rule against being on the roof of your new stadium, I suppose. You just had to be banished from the sideline.
Like I said, expect the unexpected.
Expect the unexpected.
That little picture went viral, huh? Social media.
Mega viral, yeah. That was, I mean, why not? It's a coach on the roof watching his team. This one fed in. Obregon there. Clash of the heads between Obregon and it looks like Edrach, pardon me. It's Max Broughton who's slow to his feet. Haven't had many opportunities Westchester, but the moments where they've looked even half threatening, it's just come when they just feed the ball to Obregon. Even if it's force feeding him a bit, just get it in his vicinity. He makes things difficult.
It's been the two most lively players for Westchester, Bolaños and Obregon, trying to connect here. Brave here from Broughton just to win that initial duel. You see that what Obregon's trying to do and generate enough power to snap it over his left shoulder. It's a nice sign there just to see Edrach come over and check in on Obregon. Both players back on their own power.
Obregon walking away from it seemingly okay. Have to come off for a moment. The nature of it being a head injury until the referee waves him back on. It's been good in all competitions, Obregon. I mentioned it earlier, 6 goals and 11 starts in league play. Had him in a tie for the Golden Boot race at the end of their win against Madison 10 days ago. Coming into the night, he also had 2 goals in 2 Jaeger Cup matches, 3 goals in 3 Open Cup matches. So he's been scoring in all competitions. Add it all together, 11 goals in 16 matches for J.C. Obregon, wearing the Westchester badge in his first year with the club, wearing the captain's armband. Just haven't really gotten him going tonight. He's up to 18 touches now. Has a shot on target. It's their only shot on target. Still probably not enough of the ball gone his way, even though that number's been rising in the second half.
Just no real threat for Westchester going forward other than Obregon. It just seems like Westchester's trying to pump the ball into him and asking him to produce a little bit of magic individually. Especially when you're playing against a team like the Riverhounds that are just so hard to break through, especially when they sit into their defensive set. The ball needs to zip around at a very high tempo to really unbalance and find gaps. We saw it early in that first half. Bolaños unable to really find that same type of influence here since coming out of halftime.
Ryan Vasquez coming into the match now for Dean Guzin, 5th and final sub for Westchester. Couple changes on the other side as well now for Pittsburgh. Luke Biasi will enter for Junior Etu. And that'll be all for Robbie Mertz. Put in another good shift. Didn't get credit for an assist on the lone goal, but it really came all from his doing. Jason Borgi replaces him.
And taking his place, number 20, Jason Borgi.
Bob Lilly stuck to what we talked about in our conversation with him this week, that he wanted to keep the rhythm of this group going. He could have probably turned the roster over more if he really didn't care much about this game, if he was really setting his sights on New Mexico next week, knowing it's a long shot even with a win to get through the knockout stage of Jägermeister Cup. But he really valued 2 things. He talked about it's still a home game in front of our fans, and we want to put on a good show for them. That was first and foremost. And number 2 was we're finding a good rhythm. They've won 3 of the last 4 games. They've only given up 2 goals in those 4 games. They wanted to keep things rolling. A starting group that had, among the outfield players, 8 of the 10 were regular starters. The 2 guys who are regular starters who weren't in the mix, both have subbed in since then. So this is very much the full Pittsburgh experience that you're getting here tonight in terms of how this game has gone as well. Getting the 1-0 lead 15 minutes in and then just sitting on it ever since. In all facets, the true Riverhounds experience so far tonight.
Just so mature and so professional. Good bit of play here.
Borgi into space.
Just Westchester, every single time they do have the ability to recover the ball, it's just back. Do a good job at winning the ball, but then their first look, it's forward, they bypass it, and they play horizontally, they play back. And when you play against a team like the Riverhounds, you need to take every opportunity when they are out of shape, because it does not happen often. Under Bob Lilly, they're just so organized. Every single player knows their role. Nice run here from Augie.
Williams, flag stays down. Augie Williams in behind. Save made by Jacobin. Still on here for Pittsburgh. Jacobin again. Hasn't actually had many opportunities tonight. These 2 shots were the first 2 shots on target of the second half for Pittsburgh. Terrific saves on both.
Just want you to watch Augie Williams, left side of your screen, understands as John Baptiste gets pulled over, that leaves a big gaping hole, but you need to go with your left foot here. As you try to come with your right foot, you just show too much of the ball and going back the other way, all doing a good job at cutting into his left foot, has eyes for that far post. Full extension save for Jacobin.
From the corner, Jacobin, he paid for it, but he held on. eFootball is here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. eFootball, free to play. Download now. Still 1-0 Pittsburgh. They've had opportunities. Jacquemin in the first half. Augie Williams a moment ago to tack on. Both instances, big saves made by Dane Jacquemin. Williams trying to shield things off. Referee says play on. 3 minutes plus stoppage remaining. Nice move from Drac. Feeding it along, wants it back, gets it back. Obregon just did all he could, swiping at it. Riverhounds fans, join us for the next home game Friday, July 4th against New Mexico United for Family Fest and the City Fireworks postgame. Get your tickets today at riverhounds.com. This game has shown, I think, a lot of the same key points that we talked about with Bob Lilly. They're really good, really buttoned up defensively. Yes, it's a lower division opponent in USL League One, but a lot of talent, especially in the attack between Obregon, who has it almost here, and Prince Sadie, who subbed off earlier. They've only allowed 5 shots, 2 on target. The expected goals tally, .09 for Westchester. So it's another night where Pittsburgh is just constricting defensively. Another night where Pittsburgh maybe could have done more and offered more offensively.
You see the way that Pittsburgh scored their goals when the ball's moving quick. There's movement off of the ball, and almost a very similar action to get Jacquemin his second. In the end, it's a really good save from Jacquemin, but that is when Pittsburgh are at their best. When they play centrally, they have movements off the ball. In particular, the players centrally, whether it is Sample, Walsey, Griffin, Robbie Mertz, these types of runs are just so hard to track from a deeper position, because in a split second, the opposition needs to be able to recognize it. They need to communicate who's going to follow. And once that translation comes, it's just too late. So if you're Bob Lilly, how do you see those type of patterns and actions on a more consistent basis? Because if you do now, you can start to create some really good opportunities that plays into the hands of Augie Williams.
Oh, feeding it through. Borgi looking for Williams. Knocked away by Jacquemin and now settled for Westchester. Any minutes come and gone at Highmark Stadium. Awaiting the official word on stoppage time. Westchester have 4 touches in the opposing 18-yard box, and that's really been the issue. But they have 6 more minutes to try and find something here. 58 final third entries for Westchester. Only 4 have resulted in getting into Pittsburgh's box. It just shows you how compact and difficult Pittsburgh have been to play through in this one. Where do you go right now if you're Westchester? It's something they're trying to figure out in real time, playing around the back and not seeing anything open up in this Pittsburgh defense. Sneaking it through now for Obregon. Out wide. It's brewing maybe for Bolaños, but now knocked out.
It's a change of personnel. Johnson's going to pop in a little bit deeper, so Josh Drac will come centrally. Johnson's going to give you more composure on the ball, the ability to pick out passes like we saw last time, and that should have been a foul.
Reese's play on, now calls this one. It's a free kick in Pittsburgh's favor.
Knows exactly what he's doing here, Johnson. Frustration.
So it's still 1-0 for Pittsburgh. You felt it should have been 2-0 on that last chance, though, for Augie Williams. You felt he should have gone with his left foot.
Because if Augie Williams goes with his left foot, just notice when he peels it to his right foot, now Jacquemin can stay centrally. But if he peels it to his left, Jacquemin needs to come towards his near post, and that's when you can beat him towards that far post. It's just too big of an angle to wrap your body around it. Jacquemin sees this play from miles before. He just essentially makes an easy save. But those minute details, especially when you're an attacking player, if you can off-balance the goalkeeper, now you can find a window to find that far post.
Of the 4 options that I think were there for Williams, left foot near post, left foot far post, right foot near post, he chose the worst of the 4. Even in that moment, as he opened his body up, if he tried to hit back across it and with the right foot still go near post on Jacquemin, that might have still caught him off guard. But of the 4 options, he picked the worst of the 4.
Yeah, it's just too easy for Jacquemin there. Because as a goalkeeper, you're taught you need to follow the ball. You need to be able to cut down the angle whatever way that you can. So if Augie Williams takes that touch with his left foot, what is Jacquemin going to do? He's going to shade towards that near post. That's why we see so many times when attacking players get into the final third, they elect to go back across the game because the goalkeeper usually is getting caught cheating towards the near side.
Westchester turns around midweek against Greenville. It's a home game at least for Westchester after a couple of games on the road. Augie Williams gets called for the foul here. On the other side for Pittsburgh, they turn around from this game, as we've talked about, and they host New Mexico on Friday night. First place team in the Western Conference of USL Championship. So 2 important tests during the week coming up for both of these teams. Westchester, with a win, could get to the playoff line in USL League One. Pittsburgh against one of the top teams in USL Championship, very much a measuring stick game, and it could just further help their case and their climb up the table. Seems like a 2-horse race for 1 and 2 between Lou City and Charleston, but Loudoun have sort of slowed down a little bit. You've had a surging North Carolina. You've had other teams that have sort of wavered. That 3rd spot in the East feels like it's there for the taking beyond Louisville and Charleston. And it's an important 3rd spot because it gives you home field advantage the first couple of rounds, and you could avoid Lou City and Charleston for longer in the playoffs. Pittsburgh feels like the team that could sort of sneak into that vacuum and take charge of the 3rd spot. And this coming week against New Mexico will be a big test and a big indicator if they're truly the team that's capable of doing that. And they're in a nice stretch of their schedule here, the Riverhounds. Hosting New Mexico, then they host Loudoun. They go on the road against Detroit City, and then it's 4 straight home games. Miami, Rhode Island, Orange County, Charleston Battery. So they have a chance to do some major climbing in their own venue here at Highmark Stadium. When you have that many home games, it means you have a lot of road games coming up elsewhere. Those come at the end of August into September. But if they can build enough of a cushion with all those games I mentioned at home, they won't care too much about all those road games when they come later on. From mid-August into early October, it's 5 out of 7 on the road. After all those home games they have in July and the first half of August. You have to eat while you can. They're in a good spell right now. They're going to keep that momentum going from now Jägermeister Cup back into the regular season when it pivots on Friday. So have 1 more minute to see through here against Westchester. It's been pretty routine defensively, though, for Pittsburgh in this one. Can they keep it that way? Bring themselves 3 points that might just keep them alive for a wild card spot in Jägermeister Cup. That might be enough to do it here. Randolph was fouled. A yellow card shown as well. Makic subbed on late in the second half.
Yellow card against Westchester, number 18.
Randolph frustrated, and rightly so. Does a good job at recognizing, comes off of his line really quickly. Initially, it did seem like Mac is just trying to get out of the way. Just unfortunate, the left knee. Catches Randolph here. Don't think any ill will, which is very unfortunate for the goalkeeper.
Last chance brewing for Westchester. Well, they've struggled to get it even in the vicinity of Randolph in this one. One back by Pittsburgh. Well, beyond the 6 minutes played now. And there is the final whistle. A goal scored 15 minutes in from Bertrand Jacqueson holds up the rest of the way. Pittsburgh takes it 1-0 over Westchester.
Commanding, deserving win for Pittsburgh Riverhounds' ability to dictate the game on both sides of the ball. Defensively very compact, not giving nearly anything to Westchester, and scored a really good goal in the end for Bob Lilly. A pattern of playing to perfection. So yes, you wanted to get that second goal. You take the win in the cup, and you continue on for Bob Lilly.
Tonight's man of the match presented by Cohen Markets, no doubt, is Jacqueson with the lone goal of the match. He hadn't scored yet in the regular season. Maybe this sends him on his way now.
Continue that momentum into league play. That's going to be the hope for Pittsburgh. Riverhounds. Jacqueson scores a fantastic goal within his movement. How can he grow on that? That's going to be the big talking point for the Riverhounds.
Tonight's smooth save of the match is presented by Smoothie King. Rule of the day. There wasn't much to choose from, which is a good thing for Pittsburgh, but this is the one that wins it for Jacob Randolph.
Makes it look a lot easier than what it is here for Randolph, because he's getting screened by his defender. This shot from Obregon going through the legs, and notice the secure hands not to give up a rebound. Good save from Randolph.
On their inaugural trip into the Jägermeister Cup, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds needed to win in regulation tonight to keep any hope of going through to the knockout phase. They held up that end of the bargain, and they take it 1-0 over Westchester SC. We're back in a moment to wrap things up from Highmark Stadium. It was all fun and games in the early going in this one here. And something Bob Lilly talked about was sending these fans at home happy, regardless of the competition, regardless of the opponent. Riverhounds able to do just that. Wrapping things up from Highmark Stadium in a moment. A winner in Pittsburgh!
It's Sonesta of Pittsburgh's 50/50 awnings and shade sale. Pay as low as $50 a month and get up to 50% off for your awning or shade. Plus, get 0% up to 84 months. You need shade? We got you covered. We give the best discounts, lowest payments, and 0% financing for deck and patio awnings, porch and garage screens, window and door awnings, and over 150 colors. For your home or business, we got you covered. Pay as low as $50 a month. Call 1-800-292-5594 or visit sonestaofpittsburgh.com.
Riverhounds doing their lap around the field, greeting the fans after their 1-0 victory over Westchester SC. That goal came 15 minutes in from Bertrand Jacqueson. They held on the rest of the way as we take you back through the highlights of this one. Again, that goal was just a brilliant bit of build-up play from the Riverhounds.
Just want you to watch the movement of Etsu on the top side of your screen. Once everyone gets occupied with the ball, he continues his movement to be really aggressive. And once he gets to the final third, head up and tries to find that near post run. The responsibility of Jacqueson last second just slashes across Bobby Pierre. It's a well-worth goal for the Riverhounds.
there. It would just be a matter of seeing things out over the finish line for Pittsburgh, which they did. Pittsburgh end up on 3 points here. They still are alive for a potential wild card berth, depending on how things go elsewhere, but they need everything to break their way. As you take a look at the standings here in Group 4, impressed so far with what you've seen from Rhode Island in this tournament?
Yeah, it's an opportunity, right, for O'Connell Smith, at a team that's maybe struggling in USL Championship in league play. So if you can continue this form and now you can translate into league play, O'Connell Smith, Rhode Island doing a good job. 3 wins out of 3, the top of the group.
Pittsburgh will end their Jägermeister Cup group play in the last weekend of July against Portland, and it'll be Detroit City on the road for this Westchester side. That'll do it for us here from Highmark Stadium. A 1-0 win for the Riverhounds over Westchester to keep their hopes alive of advancing in the Jägermeister Cup. The crew that makes this possible, broadcast partner Ricky Lopez-Espin, I'm Joe Malva saying so long for now. Plenty more to come around USL Jägermeister Cup. Make sure you flip around here on ESPN+. Good night, everybody.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.